make camp, and we're just going to go 20 miles. The second, and on the days that are blizzard and it seems like we should just hunker down in our tents and not move, we're going to get up and we're going to march 20 miles anyway. Right. So one team said, hey, when the weather's good, we're going to take as much ground as possible. When the weather's bad, we're going to hunker down. The other one said, every single day, we're going to get up and we are going to go hard. We're going to do 20 miles no matter what. And we're going to stop after 20 miles. Well, the team that went 20 miles, that did a 20-mile march every single day, not only did they make it, they were the first one to the pole, right? And the first one in the history of ever. But they made it there with enough supplies. They were able to go there, plant their flags, turn around, go back and make it back safely and have plenty of food and everything was good. The second team finally made it to the pole, but they made it there 33 days later after the first team, only to find out that they weren't the first team. They'd already planted the poles and realized, shoot, we're the second ones here, and they're over a month late. And not only that, when they turned around and went back, because they weren't ready for all the blizzards, the weather turned bad. It was blizzards every single day. And unfortunately, the entire team died. Right. So not only did they make it there late, but when they turned around and they went and they tried to make it back, the entire team died. And it was just because that strategy that seemed really smart to go hard in the paint whenever they could and to hunker down and conserve energy actually was their undoing, right? That was the reason they failed. It was the team that got up and said, no matter what the weather looks like, we march 20 miles every single day. Now, here's what I want to talk about. That 20-mile march is perfect. Is a perfect analogy for what we're doing here, right? Every single day, like you're spending money on Facebook ads, and sometimes you get a ton of prayer requests, and sometimes you don't get any, right? And sometimes you're getting people that energize you, and sometimes it feels like every single person is asking for money or doesn't have a ride or whatever it is, right? There's an up and down. Sometimes the weather's good. You're like, I could do 1 million of these. These are awesome. And sometimes you're like, the last thing in the world I want to do is send an audio prayer to these people. Right? Like it's that 20-mile march where every single day you get up and you're going to keep the Facebook ad on, and whatever your daily budget is that you're going to invest that much money into reaching people. You're going to send the audio prayers and you're going to call to plan your business within 15 minutes. Right? And some days are going to be up, some days are going to be down, but you're doing that 20-mile march day in and day out, and you're going to win and you're going to see long-term success. Right? So I want to just encourage you in the system itself with the idea of the 20-mile march. But then I also just want to ask you, what could you do in your church right now in order to apply this idea of the 20-mile march to your ministry? Right? Like what's just something that you could do every single day? You may not feel like it. You know, one of my favorite writers, he wrote a children's book series that I read long before I ever had kids. Right? Kind of embarrassing to admit, but it's awesome. If you guys have ever read The Ranger's Apprentice, it's awesome. I'm trying to get my 8-year-old into it now because it was really cool. And basically the guy who wrote it, what he said was almost like kind of like a Harry Potter kind of thing, right? But and what he would do is he would wake up every single day and he would write 5 pages. Right. So every day he would wake up, he would edit the 5 pages from the day before, then he would write 5 new pages, then he'd close his laptop, hop on his motorcycle and spend the rest of the day doing whatever he wanted to. Right. And because he did that, he it's one of like the best selling children's series of all time. And he's written multiple, and he's just pumping books out over and over and over. Right. Because he's saying like what a lot of writers do is they wake up, they feel inspired, and so they write all day long, but then they have writer's block for days at a time or weeks at a time and can't write, can't do anything, and end up missing deadlines. Right. But because he gets up every single day, he edits the 5 pages from yesterday, he writes 5 new pages, he closes his laptop, jumps on his motorcycle, and does whatever he wants to for the rest of the day. Now he's this huge New York Times bestselling author, right? So what are those things that you can be doing in your ministry, right? As it pertains, 1, to the system, but also 2, in a much bigger sense, just in your ministry and your church that you can do every single day. Like, could you contact 3 people from your congregation every single day? Right. And just shoot them a text, fire off an email, give them a phone call, whatever form of communication works best. But could you just reach out and just contact 3 people every single day and just ask them, hey, how you doing? Right. Just on a soul level, right? Like, man, how are you doing? I think these are the types of things that can help us move forward. And sometimes, especially if you have a heavy heart, just talking to people sometimes and being able to help them, right? Serving people is in a way that's it ends up being way more energizing than we realize, right? So one of the things I've done a lot of times is whenever I'm going through something, right, is I try to find someone to serve. And so one of the things like we have, I've talked about it a little bit before, but we have a food pantry we call Friday Groceries, where we give away between 400 and 700 bags of groceries every single Friday. Multiple times when I've been going through a storm or going through something in my life, I've just said, man, you know what I need to do is I need to go serve some people, and I'll literally go volunteer on those things on Fridays. And most of the time with very little thank you, right? A lot of the people there feel like they're complaining because you gave them Frosted Flakes, but they only eat Captain Crunch, right? And like their kid likes sour cream and onion, but you just gave them regular, right? Like whatever it is. But just going out there and actually serving people and just it's pretty incredible how much that changes things. And a lot of times I would just be one of the guys that jumps into the line and just prays for people. And I'm telling you, it changes things. It's funny how it changes things on the inside of you when you're just serving someone else. Right. And I mean that not in a way where you're just doing ministry and doing your church stuff. I mean, literally just talking to people and serving them, just calling somebody, saying, hey, man, how you doing? Right. Like not just church stuff, man. How are you doing on the inside? Right. And it's funny, once you can get through a lot of the small talk, how many times people will actually be like, man, you know what? I'm going through something, bro. So I just want to encourage you guys with that. I hope that helps. 20 Mile March, obviously just in the system, but even more so than that is the just like in your church and kind of in your own life. So, all right, let's open it up for questions. I want to make sure we've had a lot of Facebook changes here, and it's made a lot of crazy things happen. Caleb and I are having a lot of fun. There's a little bit of sarcasm there, and with a lot of early mornings, late nights, and working the weekends, trying to figure out some of these Facebook changes and diving into a lot of y'all's accounts and trying to figure out what's going on. So, so if you guys have some questions, let's open it up to that and make sure we knock those out here. So.
Hey, Chris, while they're thinking, can I share a praise report?
Please do, bro. Please
we all
do.
need a praise report, Doug. Spend some time on it.
Okay, yeah, two things. We had two more guests off the prayer ads on Sunday, and one of them worked overnight till 6 a.m., came in halfway through the message, maybe early quarter of the message, and seemed to enjoy it, and responded to the video follow-up on Monday. And then the other guest came in before I was someplace else in the building, and our team got.
Doug, you still there? I think we lost you, bro.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah. Okay. Now we can hear you. I heard you say your team, you're in another part of the building, and then your team did something.
Yeah, they got me. I went out and I met him. It was like 2 minutes before the service. And so, had the service, came out, and, people don't always thank you for the message. Y'all know that, right? But he said thanks, but I just thought there was something more. And I don't know what I said, just something a little bit encouraging. It was on forgiveness. And he just literally fell into my arms crying after the service, and just that he had forgiven this person. And then later in the messenger chat, he just shared who it was and a little bit more about it. But so, we've been going a few months, haven't had much of you changed my life kind of things, but that was a big one. So just wanted to share that with y'all.
Man, thanks so much for sharing, Doug. That's man, I know Caleb and I needed that. So thanks for telling us that, man. That's awesome.
That's literally why we do this. Like, that's it. Just to hear those stories, just to know that our work is mattering too.
Yeah. And just so you got, like, that's the stuff we only hear that if you guys tell us, right? All of our world is on the back end of Facebook and ManyChat doing tech stuff all day, right? So like the reason we do this isn't for you guys, it's actually for the people that you're reaching, right? So like we do it for that guy right there, but we never know that kind of stuff if you don't tell us. So Doug, thank you so much for sharing that, man, because that means more to us than you know.
And one other thing, just to reinforce something you guys have said, when we just switched, we're running our 2/3 of our budget on the purpose ad and 1/3 on the prayer ad. So we're still getting some traction on the prayer ads, but immediately the hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it switched just like that. I mean, if you guys have heard him talk about it, instant switch. And the only question I would have off of that, and it's really for both, is we're starting to see people who, and we've seen a few, not many, but they're just transiting through the area, not so much in the area. And I know we've got it on the wider, you know, if you've been here, live here kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's not too many, but just that's some feedback. Just curious about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, just keep us in the loop. If it ends up being like a huge majority, let us know, and we can always change that up. We've experimented with which of those settings work best, and it typically seems that one helps, because sometimes people, anyway, it reaches more people usually that way. But let us know if it changes, and we can always change it. Doug, let me ask you this: are you sending audio prayers to all of the Discover Your Purpose people as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm doing that, and I'm just changing my clothes. So I pray, you know, hey, Lord, help them discover their purpose. And then I just end with, hey, I'm just wondering if you have a church where you're have discovered your spiritual gifts and are leaning into your purpose. And I'd love to know that. And if you need one, or you just, I've kind of mutilated it a few times, but I'm getting better at it. So.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I would just recommend just just make sure you're always ending that with a question, right? So like, hey, man, like, we've got church this Sunday. Can you make it? Right. And so doing that same kind of thing, right? Because even if you eliminate the part about, hey, do you have a church, right? Because people always say yes, right? Like I was growing up, I remember it had been like years since I've been to church. People were like, do you have a church? I'm like, yeah, I go to United Methodist, right? Like that's my church, right? Like, and every couple of years we show up for Easter, right? But like, and so like, but we were also fiercely loyal to that church, right? Like it was weird. I'm not sure why. It was just I was raised that was our church. So a lot of times people are going to say yes, even though they haven't been there and they're not plugged in. So instead of doing that, I would literally just say, like, once you finish that prayer in Jesus' name, amen. Right. It's like, man, John, I tell you what, we're actually having church this Sunday at 10 o'clock. Can you make it? Right. And just keeping it that simple. People, if they have a church, they're going to say that or whatever. Right. And it's okay. And then you can have a conversation. Oh, okay, great. Man, how long you been going there? Hey, I love, Pastor Kevin. I know him, personally, whatever. But I think going in there and just specifically just inviting people to church, right? Because it might be that they consider a place of church, but like I said, they haven't been in months or years, and they actually are never going to get plugged into that church. But because you just made that connection, right? They'll plug in with you and live for God the rest of their life if they just show up. All right, yeah. So Aaron said people want to save face by saying they have a church, even though they don't know the pastor's name. It always gives them an opportunity to come. Yeah, that's a great point, Aaron. Right? Like most people don't want to be like, yeah, pastor, I don't believe in church, right? Or I don't go to church or anything like that. So that's a perfect point, Aaron. It allows them to save face. So that's awesome. All right. Do we have any other? Actually, let me do this. Aaron, I know you had a couple of things we were kind of texting about earlier. Man, you want to just kind of share that real quick?
Sure.
Whatever's on your heart, man.
Oh, my thing is I just want to encourage everybody, because, we go through this thing week after week. We share wins, and wins like Doug talked about are fantastic and keep a lot of us going, right? So it's amazing to hear. But I just kind of want to encourage you guys personally, and really just with two things. And it's kind of a two thought, something I heard recently. It really helped me out, so I wanted to pass it on. It's trust and self-control. Trust and self-control. What I mean by those two things is really it's give up control of what you can't control. You can't control the pandemic, right? You can't control how people are going to perceive you online. You can't control who's going to come to you. There's so many things that you cannot control, and the responses of people that's going to happen, you can't control that. So stop trying to control that and just hold it with an open hand. So just hold that with an open hand. And the other thing is self-control. So take control of what you can. Can you guys, I got like something happening in the background. Can you guys hear that? Dude, something's going on here, man. I'm gonna knock this out. Boom. Okay, I got that. See, you can't control when your computer makes noise. Know what I'm talking about? Can I get an amen, somebody?
Amen. Come on, bro.
You can't control when the cell phone goes off in church and you're trying to keep the baby quiet and everything like that because you don't have kids' church and they're bringing their loud baby in. Can I get an amen, somebody? So here's the deal. There are things you cannot control, so you got to let that go. And I know we're control freaks, right? And I just had this thing in my heart today to encourage you, let go of that control. So live with an open hand of trusting God as well. So live with an open hand. God, I'm going to trust you. I'm not going to assume control of this. And then close the fist of the things that you can control. There are things that you can't control. You can't control your attitude. That's one thing that you can't control. You can't control your personal time with God. You can control your emotions. You can control your connections with others. So live with an open hand, live with a closed hand, and just the scripture that goes along with that. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. And I know I'm talking to preachers, so you guys know this. I'm not trying to be preachy, but it says, let us strip off every weight that slows us down. That's control. And let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. Okay, so we're going to have trust, and then we're also going to have control of the things that we only can control, and believe that God is going to give the increase in our life. And if we do that, we're going to live, lives filled with purpose and peace, and then we'll be able to do ministry and not have any anxiety in our heart, right? So I just wanted to encourage you guys today, just with those two things.
Love it, man. Thanks for sharing, bro. And that scripture is perfect, man. I was literally, I just read that this weekend. I was kind of going through a couple of things, man. So thanks for sharing that, bro. Doug said, love that, Aaron. Control is a weight that slows us down. That's man, it's so true. All right. So I know we only have a few minutes left. I want to make sure we answer. Do we have any more questions here? Any more testimonies, great stories, questions, concerns, anything like that?
I have a question.
Yeah. What's up, Rob?
My Discover Your Purpose hasn't started yet.
Okay.
And so I know I think I'm over 2 months in. Is it supposed to start now, or am I supposed to start it? Or
whenever you're ready. So it's in your account. You can literally just flip it on. So yeah, you just go in there and literally just turn it to on. And then you can either split the budget between the prayer ads. You can turn the prayer ads off and turn that one on, or you can do like Doug did, where Doug put 2/3 of the budget towards the Discover Your Purpose, and then the other third towards the prayer ads, so he was still reaching both demographics.
Okay. The other thing I know, if you want me to share it, I was trying to put it in the chat, but I made some slight tweaks to my ManyChat, and it seemed like it increased just the response level a little bit more. I don't know if you want me.
Okay. Yeah. What are the changes that you made?
So I can't remember, but you know how it says, it seems like it gave them a little bit more incentive. Instead of saying, we want to assign you some seats to come. I put in there, my wife and I want you to be our special guest. Want you to be our special guest. And so we want to assign, to make sure that you have good seats. Do you mind us having your phone number and your email? And it seems like it increased the response, more of a positive response by putting that little tweak in there. And then the other thing I did was, and then I also said, I want to send you a special guest pass recognition, to your text message. So when they give us their phone number, and by the way, I kind of, thank you for that plug on Text and Church, but I put that pass, the actual pass in there, so that they'll have something to show to the greeters when they come to the door, even though they're going to, but it seems like those two added incentives has increased, the response of people coming to church.
Very cool. Okay. So you put the Text and Church like pass that they get, and you just connected that. So when they get the email, it goes into Text and Church and automatically sends that pass to their.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you guys who aren't using Text and Church, if you guys want to check that out for free, you can just email heather@churchgrowthagency.com, and we'll get you guys a link that can show that. And then you can kind of set up what Rob's talking about here. But I love that, Rob. And that makes perfect sense, right? Everybody wants to know the pastor. So it's like one thing if it's just like a generic invite, right? Which is still going to work really well. But yeah, like, man, as soon as you said that, I'm like, that makes perfect sense, because like, of course people want to be like the pastor and his wife's like special guest and make sure that the pastor's getting you great seats. Like that makes perfect sense, bro.
I pulled it up. It's right here.
Okay.
So you edited the response after they say that'd be great to the invitation. Would you like to come out so we can pray for you in person? And what you have is, okay, great, we're excited. My wife and I want you to be our special guest, first name, Belinda. We're going to arrange special seating for you and anyone else that you bring with you. And then you ask for the email address.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Rob. That's great.
Oh, and then you said I'm going to shoot you a text with a special guest pass and a couple of important details.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So it seemed like it raised the level of the people's positive response to wanting to give their information and wanting to come. Because I heard something, oh, by the way, that the thing you did with CM Church Marketing University.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that was so good. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that.
Thanks, man.
That
Are you talking about the Facebook Live where we're kind of breaking down how to write Facebook ads? Okay.
Right. So
awesome.
One of the things that you said was, and he said it too. Cut me off if I'm taking up too much time.
No, you're good, man.
But one of the things that you said, and then he reinforced it, is when your website is all about you, it doesn't draw, but you make it about them. It has that much more of an impact. That was just. And then also when you said people don't care about the scriptures that you're going to share, they don't care about, just all of those things was just like real big nuggets for me that really helped me and was really encouraging and making me make some changes and some shifts. And then also now I'm saying these things so that if y'all want to go back and look at these things, they'll probably be beneficial to all the pastors. But even that, I put it in the feed about the tutorial that you sent for that next step thing. That was brilliant too. That was very, very helpful. And we're getting very, very positive response from making those little tweaks. I mean, big, huge responses from those little tweaks. So thank you so much.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Okay, awesome. You're talking about the assimilation secrets.
Assimilation secrets. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, awesome, man. Thanks for saying that, Rob. That's great, and thanks for sharing that about ManyChat, man. I love those changes, right? So just to recap, right? Basically, it is after someone said inside of the ManyChat flow, like, "Hey, we're having church this Sunday. Would you like to come out so we can pray for you in person?" After, if they click on that would be great, then he edited that next flow, right, to basically say, "Okay, great." Caleb's gonna pull it up here again. But okay, great. My wife and I would love for you to be our special guest this Sunday, and we'd love to save you some seats, right? And then ask for the email, and then on the phone number said, okay, great. I'm going to send you a text message with a special guest pass and some important details. What's your number? Right now, of course, they want that because they want the special guest pass, right? Everybody wants to be recognized and right. Yep, it just makes them feel special. So that's awesome, Rob.
I just put it in your text.
Okay, perfect. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Rob, are you okay if I put that in the chat?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, man. That's pretty awesome. So let me copy paste that and I'll put that into the chat here so you guys can see what he did. Here we go. Boom. All right. Let's see. Do we have any other questions while I'm doing this and throwing these in here?
I got one, Chris. As you and Caleb know, we're brand new at this. We're 28 hours into our ad. Just curious about how to do what Brother Rob just talked about with the ManyChat, customizing that flow.
Okay. Ask that question one more time, Richard. I'm sorry.
Okay. How do you actually
change the flow?
Yeah, how do you actually customize the ManyChat flow?
Okay, yeah. So if you go to churchgrowthagency.com/cheat-sheet, right? The cheat sheet. So it was in all the onboarding emails that you got. There's a link to that like cheat sheet. If you go on there, there's actually a video that shows you how to change the flows. Okay. So we recommend if you change the flows, keep most of it the same, right? But like something like what Rob did, like Rob didn't like change the flows or any of the boxes or any of the decision trees. He just went in and changed and tweaked that a little bit instead of just saying, "Hey, do you want to come out this Sunday?" He just said, "Hey, my wife and I would like for you to be our special guest this Sunday." Right. But there's a video in there that shows you exactly how to make those changes.
Okay, I haven't got that far yet. Thanks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things Rob did, I think it's important to point out, is so many of the changes we've seen in the past have been a move toward instead of the pastor being involved, more of a team being involved. And that always affects the results in a negative way. What Rob did was he elevated their relationship with him as the senior pastor.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different thing. So I think doing that probably, it made them, people remember how you make them feel. So Rob made them feel very special.
It's a great point, man. That's a great point, right? That's the biggest thing, right? It's one of the things. In fact, we just shot a new onboarding video yesterday, right? Just kind of like as an overview of the system, because we're kind of rebuilding all of our onboarding stuff, some new FAQ videos and that kind of stuff, just to help support you guys better when you do have questions and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that we talked about was that, right? Like not trying to offload or automate the personal ministry side of things, right? But really just going in that like, obviously at some point it might reach a place where you're going to need help on some of the other things, but that personal one-on-one ministry, right? Like that's the thing there. Like there's nobody better to do that than you talking to new people, right? Because it's exactly what Rob just put in there, right? Is everyone wants to be like the pastor's special guest, right? And so just knowing they're going to do that, right? They're going to have that connection, and your assimilation, right? The amount of people that come out and visit for the first time, come back a second time, join your church is going to go like this, because they recognize and they are building a relationship with you, right? So, all right. Do we have? Doug, what's up, man?
So I've got a comment and a question. The question is, when I go into ManyChat and try to make edits, I'm hitting the edit button and I'm going to revisit the cheat sheet. So if it's just, so I'm on Safari, but somehow it's just dragging the whole thing around and I can't get my mouse away from that to get into the specific. And,
Okay.
and I don't know what I'm doing. I've tried a number of things. I'd finally just let it go.
Do a basic builder, Doug. Try on the right side of the screen. You'll see options for, it's right below the edit. And it's smaller text, so it's kind of hard to see, but you might change the layout.
Yeah, I might have to go to Chrome too or something and see how that works. But yeah, okay, great, thank you.
I had one other thing I wanted to say, Chris.
Yeah, what's up, Rob?
When you did that with the CMU, one of the things that you pointed out was you brought out the fear that people have to overcome all these walls as far as coming to a new church, hearing, and that's what was the inspiration as far as making it more personal, to kind of eliminate those walls that they have to get past in order to come to your church.
Man, thanks for saying that, Rob, because man, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like sometimes, I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over again. And then sometimes I forget to say some of the things that are really important, like that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to watch that at all, what Rob's talking about, it was just an interview I did with Ryan Wakefield. He brought me into Church Marketing University to do a Facebook Live, basically on how to write Facebook ads that grow your church, but also just how to write copy, right? So how to write copy on, this is one of my favorite things to talk about that I actually never really talk about. It's one of the things I'm really passionate about. So basically how to write copy for your website, how to write copy. You can apply the formula and frameworks that I shared on there. It's my personal framework that I use for creating ads and writing copy and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's your church website, your church newsletter, if it's social media posts, any of those types of things, you can apply those frameworks. And so I kind of broke that down and then shared 8 or 9 examples. I think we went over an hour just walking through examples and kind of breaking down copy. And then I showed, at the end, I actually show the best church website that I've ever found. And I just found it a couple of weeks ago. And I showed it on there. And then I literally pulled it up, showed it, and broke down why each piece was so important and what it was doing, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, if you guys want to check that out, it's on the Church Marketing University Facebook page. So that's Ryan Wakefield's deal. And he was so pumped afterwards. He was like, dude, because I've probably done 20 interviews with Wakefield over the years. We're good friends. He brings me in a lot. And the cool thing was, we got off and he goes, dude, that was the best Facebook Live we have ever done. He was like, that was awesome. And so he had his team edit it down and then put it inside of Church Marketing University. So if you guys are in CMU, he's actually got it in the copywriting section. He's already got it up there. And Julianne and Molly already took all these notes and added them in there. Again, I go through them did I say that? Man. And again, I don't know if I'm saying that or if they're just taking all the stuff and making it sound way better, or saying oh, this is what he should have said and then putting it in there. But it's pretty awesome. So the notes are really good too.
It's what I told them to say.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's what I need Caleb to do. Man, you need to start making me
I
sound
told
smarter,
them
bro.
to say you said that. Yeah.
Hey, one more thing, Chris.
Yeah.
For the new guys that are just getting on, it may at first seem like it's a lot of extra effort and activity, but if you just his 20-mile march talk this morning, just keep doing it every day. And then what we've seen, because we've only been doing it 2.5 months now, so we're not that far into it, but that first month with those first guests, I'm very personally involved in our growth track. It's a 3-week online one right now, but I'm involved. So basically for the first month, I was very involved in connecting with them, and they saw my face a lot and they heard my heart and all of that kind of stuff. And then now they, 2 weeks ago, they did their first serve and they're on the team. They were there last Sunday. And so they're starting to build some other relationships. I saw some connections happening. And so as you think about your setup, think about a way to make it fairly organic, that they're just now part of the church. And yeah, you say hi and you know their name now. But for most of us at our size, that's very doable. It's just a little bit on a constant basis. And we'll know more in 6 months, but I think it'll bear a lot of fruit.
That's so good. That's so good. Thanks for saying that, Doug. That's awesome, man. All right. So I know we're a little bit past time, but I want to make sure, do we have anyone else that has any questions? Jim, John, Dan? Oh, yeah. Phil, what's up, man?
So one thing is I'm trying to figure out is the integration between the Facebook page and Instagram in this instance, to you can have a broader spectrum of folks you're reaching, because they're, again, like myself and we've all talked about, is that there's a lot of people that are online that will maybe never respond to a door knock or never respond to an invitation out in the marketplaces, in the stores, and whatever the case is. And so there's a lot of unreached people. And so having trouble with that, I think we figured it out. It said that we had to wait until next week in order to try and complete that, going into the settings, into syncing it. But then beyond that, that's still a little bit of definitely a gray area for me as far as how to cross post and trying to find resources online to kind of show you how to do that. Is a little bit of a minefield. So
are you talking about running ads on Facebook and Instagram, or just so that the posts go on both places?
Either one, whatever one would be more effective. I think if the ad is, it's already running on Facebook, if it automatically goes through and, shows up on the Instagram side as well, I think that'd make the most sense. But if we had to repost it on the Instagram side, that's fine too. That's just an extra step or two, so it's not a big deal. But again, just to try and get that reach out there further.
Yeah. So the way that we built the ad, the way that we set everything up, is that it's running on Facebook and Instagram, right? It's also running on Facebook's audience network. But basically, we have it built out so that what Facebook's algorithm is going to do is they're going to show it in all 3 places, and wherever you're getting the most traction is where they're going to keep putting it right out there. So they're showing it on Instagram already. But if people aren't responding on Instagram, they're not going to keep wasting your budget showing it to people on Instagram who aren't coming back, right? Because, like, contrary to popular belief, I think we talked about this last week too, Facebook wants you to be successful, right? Like, they want you to pay them as much money as humanly possible, and they never want you to stop, right? So they want you to be successful, and they want you to get, that's why they have so many different types of ad objectives, is because they're basically saying, like, okay, Philip, what do you want us to do for you? Right? You tell us, you're like, okay, well, we want messages. We want people that are responding to the prayer request. And they say, perfect, we're going to do that. And then they're going to take your budget, and they're going to be good stewards of your budget and try to get as many responses as possible and get you the result that you're looking for, so that you keep paying them and start paying them more money. Because they know, they're like, oh, man, it's working at $10 a day. Let's take it to 20. Hey, it's working at $20 a day. Let's take it to 40. Right. And so they want you to be successful. So the reason it's probably not getting shown as much on Instagram is just because people aren't responding on Instagram as much. So they're like, okay, well, let's make Philip successful, and let's shift some more of these dollars over to Facebook and keep showing it there more. They'll still show it on Instagram, but it's going to be like, way, way more, probably 95% on Facebook, because that's where people are responding.
Sure. No, that makes sense. The only thing is that because we created the Instagram account for the church, and we're trying to link them together, because nothing is showing up on the Instagram side automatically, and that's where we were scratching our heads.
This is Instagram stories. Can you see it, Philip?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right there. It's connected.
Huh. Interesting. That's a good interesting, but
Yeah.
when I go
Here's probably where you're getting confused. So a Facebook ad doesn't show up as a post in your account or on the page, right? So it's showing up in the news feeds on Instagram of people that we've set up targeting, but it's not going to show up in your Instagram account as like a post. So just like it's not showing up on your Facebook page as a post, it only shows up in the news feeds of the people that we set up through targeting.
I see. So we didn't necessarily even need to create an Instagram account or go into the settings and try and link them all and wait a week and all that nonsense. We didn't have to do that.
Right. We took care of all that for you. So we're just running it. So it's literally just pulling in the same name of your Facebook page and showing that on Instagram and showing the ad.
I see. Okay.
You can see it in the ads account.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So, okay. Anybody else questions before we wrap up here?
Chris, I was just going to say, first, good praise report. We've had one of our first-time guests been back 3 Sundays. We had another couple this Sunday. I think we might have 2 couples. I've been out since Thursday. I've been homesick since last Thursday, so I wasn't there Sunday, but I did see them on the live stream. I saw the one couple had returned, and so thank God for that. And I was just going to say, I know we'd been kind of downed our ad price per day to see how, are we ready to bump that back up or?
Yeah. I'd say let's do it. I think everything's looking good and we kind of fixed the issues that was going on there. So
it doesn't look like I'm going to be having anything else to do for a while.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's crank it back up then, man. I'll make sure the team does that this afternoon for you.
All right. Thanks.
Perfect.
Get you feeling better, Jim.
Yeah.
It's not COVID, is it?
I didn't. When I went Friday or Saturday to the emergency room, it was just gastric stuff. But I've been running fever and stuff since then, so I'd hope not.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, one more. I hope you get better, Jim. One more question on the purpose ad. When they go through, and by the way, your little tip worked, Caleb. I just made and edited, so that's great. But when it replies, no matter what shape you selected in that little script, it says click below and watch this video. And you've got the custom one I did, which guys, by the way, I put in the link there. And then it says watch the video. Is there a way to tell if they saw the video before the next send message prayer invite flow kicks off? Or is the flow only triggered if they watch the video? Because I'm not been sure about that.
Yeah. So to my knowledge, there's no way to be able to check and see and like track whether or not they watch that video and go there. So I think we just built it out so it's on a time delay. So it'll just automatically wait a few seconds and then it'll send the next part of the sequence.
Okay, so that's what I've been doing. I've just said, hey, hope you've had a chance to watch a video. And I can tell by my YouTube counts but there's been people watching it. So I'm kind of seeing some activity. So perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. All right. Any more questions here, y'all?
Yeah. This is Idel.
What's up,
I just have a question about ManyChat. I just keep getting these notifications. Page was blocked by Facebook. And I got rid of the GSI for Saturdays and also the 30 days and all those notifications, but it's still, for some reason, being blocked.
Well, have you appealed the decision yet?
I repealed the first one.
Okay.
And they unblocked it, but the next thing I know, they blocked it again, even after we turned off everything.
Yeah. So oh, sorry. What was that?
No, the only thing that we're doing is sending out, when they make the initial prayer request, and that's pretty much it and I'm just really trying to capture the phone number and email address so I can get them, to, someplace like texting church or contacting through church.
It's possible that might be the reason, right? That they see that you're trying to do it right. The reason that they made all these changes back on March 4th that like eliminated kind of like the broadcasting and started adding all the tags and eliminated all this and created this whole 24-hour window that we can't contact was basically to keep people from trying to either sell them stuff or collect their information, right? Because the whole idea is the reason we collect their information is so we can market to them. Now, our form of marketing is different than a business, right? Like we're trying to get them to come to church and that kind of stuff. But that's exactly what Facebook was trying to cut back on, is because they want social media to be social, right? So they want Messenger to be one-on-one conversations with people. And instead of trying to, collect information, do all this, right? So, and a plan your visit is a different kind of thing. It follows everything that all their guidelines, and they're cool with that. But I wonder if it's something like that, or if maybe somehow there's some setting that you have on or something like that is contacting them outside of the 24-hour window. Oh, good.
Possibly a few weeks ago, yeah, that was possible, but I turned off all that and I deleted some of the items. The only thing that we do now is the prayer request, and then they'll come back and ask them are you planning to come to church Sunday, whatever, plan your visit, and I will say, they would respond with the either email address and a phone number, and that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of, and Facebook is really not clear on the message. You just say your page was blocked.
Okay. So I just looked in your account. It looks like you had some rules on for like a Saturday reminder, a GSI, 30-day follow-up. I think the sequences were turned off, but I wonder if that was what was triggering it. So I just turned those off just to kind of make sure. That's the only thing I could think of that would be doing it. So I'll have the team jump into your account and just double check, see if there's anything else in there.
Okay.
So yeah, Caleb said he just went in and refreshed permissions, which sometimes that's like ManyChat calls that like the magic button, right? They're like, hey, most problems that you're having inside of your ManyChat account can be fixed with the refresh permissions button, right? So that's one of the first things that we try if something's going on there. It's basically just because, right, you have two different technology companies talking to each other through an API, right? Which is basically like a handshake. And them talking to each other. And every once in a while, that handshake just kind of gets let go for some reason, right? When you refresh permissions, it goes back together. And so basically, like ManyChat has a help article, and basically they're like, there's a lot of reasons this can happen. Doesn't really matter. Just click refresh permissions, and that usually fixes it, right? So it's nothing that we do. It's just you have two different technologies talking to each other. They're both constantly making refreshes and making updates, and so every once in a while they just kind of come unglued and stop talking to each other. So we just refresh permissions. That might change it, and we turned off those other ones. So I would go in and I would try to appeal it again, and see. Oh, Caleb said it already says unblocked, so you're good to go, bro.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Boom. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Going on. Oh yeah, Philip, what's up, man?
I hit the wrong button. I shrunk Zoom and I had to go all the way back to the desktop of my phone. That was awesome. So, and I posted this in the chat. I really like the idea about the, I think you guys called it text in church, to be able to send that, like that custom, hey, we want to make special guests and so on and so forth. Is there, you guys mentioned it earlier, just email Heather about that and ask her to give us a link for that, or what? How do we go?
Yeah, she has a link. She'll send you a link. One is a link to be able to sign up for Text in Church, and you get a couple weeks free or a month free or something like that. I think we'll check. I don't remember how long it is, but you get some time for free there. We also have a link that once you sign up for it and create your account, you can click this link, and we have a 12-week follow-up system that we built out using Text in Church. It'll automatically just suck that whole thing into your account, and then you can just go in and just swap out your name and the name of the church, and then now you've got a custom 12-week follow-up system that you can start plugging people in.
Okay, so once we go through that, if we do then goes to sign up and through the emailing Heather, she lets you guys know, and you guys do anything on the back end, or is it pretty easy to walk through the information that she sends?
Oh yeah, so she'll just actually here's the link right here. Caleb just sent it to me. Let me put this in here. So if you can use this link to sign up, and then they even have a when you go in and you sign up, they have their chat support. I think they have something where I think you pay like $100 or something, and they'll set up your account for you. Or you can just ask them. Their chat support is awesome. Like Caleb and I don't know how much Caleb's used it. I've used it a ton because whenever I'm doing stuff inside of Texan Church, I'll just hit him up. And I know most of his support team from when we spoke at the conference last summer, and they're awesome. Like literally, they just jump in all the time. They're like, "Hey, yeah, just do this," or "Hey, I jumped into your account, did it for you," or "Here, just click this button." So it's super easy. So yeah, setting it all up is pretty. It's pretty simple, and they have tutorial videos, and their team walks through everything. So.
And then the last question, I know several guys have mentioned this, but that CMU where you did that Facebook video where you're talking about assimilation secrets and you broke down the copy and the framework and all that. How, I don't know if anybody posted the link to that in chat, or how do I go back and watch that video and all that? Because I think that'd be a tremendous resource, especially as, you know, as we move forward, maybe seeing about updating the website, because someone talked about, I don't remember who, please forgive me, about changing it from being more about us, be about, you know, about them and all those kind of things. So I think that'd be a tremendous resource to meditate on. About that whole video
absolutely. So there's two different videos. One of them is on the CMU Facebook page, and that's the one where I did it's the one that Rob was talking about with the interview, where we're talking about what's on your website and email and that kind of stuff. The other one is Assimilation Secrets, and that was a friend of mine, Katie Cole, who ran all of our like assimilation and plan your visit and guest follow-up and all that stuff at Guts Church for years. I actually hired her and paid her to create a video called Assimilation Secrets, and literally I was just like, hey, you did this for like, I don't know how long, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I was like, can you just teach everything that you learned about that and teach other people how to set it up really simple? And so I paid her to come in and create that video. And so it's called Assimilation Secrets. So if you email Heather, she can send you that. Just ask Heather for the Assimilation Secrets video, and she'll send that over to you.
Good, thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Where's the refresh button on ManyChat?
It's under settings. So now if everything's working correctly, you don't need to touch it. You're good to go. It's just if all of a sudden you're like, hey, our ads are running, but our bot is not running anymore, right? Or if all of a sudden every once in a while you'll see, and you'll go into your audience and it'll say like unknown user, right? And you're like, what the heck? Usually that's what happens. So you go into settings and there's like a blue button that says refresh permissions. You click it and it just reconnects that API, and then you're good to go. So, okay, awesome. Let's do this. Caleb, will you pray, and will you pray for Jim as well? And we'll do this.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this group of church leaders, Lord, that we have the privilege of meeting with. Lord, I pray you would protect every single one of them, Lord, specifically Jim. Lord, I pray that you would bring healing to his body. Lord, I pray that you would help him rest during this time. And I pray you surround him, Lord, with people that are going to help him carry the load, Lord, that all the responsibilities he has associated with this church. I pray you surround him with good leadership, good leaders around him. And Lord, again, I pray you just give him the strength that he needs to carry on and do what he needs to, but also, Lord, the permission to rest during this time. And I pray you make this a time of recovery for him, where he can grow physically strong, Lord, and mentally and spiritually, Lord, and you would draw near to him and he could sense your presence tangibly with him. And Lord, for all of us, I pray you protect us, our families, our work. Lord, everything that we do, may you be glorified in it. The ultimate goal, God, is to make heaven as crowded as we can. Yes, add as many members to the family as we possibly can. And Lord, I pray you to help us, Chris and I and our team, help us do everything that we need to do to help give them the tools they need to minister to everybody inside of their impact zone. We love you, Lord, and pray you be glorified in our work. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. And if you guys need anything at all, just shoot an email over to heather@churchgrowthagency.com, and we'll get you guys taken care of. See you next week.